What if we could reclaim what it means to be man enough? What if we could make room for not just our masculinity, but our humanity?
Ladies and gentlemen, Claire Wineland.
It is exhausting trying to be man enough.
Actor, director, and entrepreneur Justin Baldoni tries to undefine what it means to be a man in a new book. Many of you first got to know Justin as Raphael on the TV show Jane the Virgin. In the book, Justin talks about issues of body dysmorphia, insecurities, bullying, and our sometimes complicated relationships with our dads. The book is titled Man Enough, Undefining My Masculinity. It's out now wherever you can buy a book. Justin Baldoni, welcome to the Fox 11 Special Report, and congrats on the book, my friend.
Thank you. It's so good to be here, my man. Good to see you.
All right, so this is the book here. This is what people do with the book.
Yes,
and this is what you sent to me, and I appreciate that I got a signed copy, and in it says, Alex, you are enough, which is what the book is all about. So what does that mean,
sir.
Justin? What does it mean to be enough?
Well, I'll tell you when I find out. That's the whole thing about this journey is I think that the way, especially as men, that we're raised in our culture pits us against each other. And it's this bridge to nowhere. It's this mountain that we'll never climb, this power dynamic that creates this impossibility for us as men to ever feel like we are enough, to ever feel satisfied, to ever feel like we are successful enough or buff enough or good looking enough or sexy enough or competent enough or smart enough. There's always someplace else to go. And I think it's just making us so unhappy. So I wrote this book as somebody on the journey. I'm not on the other side of the journey. I'm not like, hey, I'm enough. And here's how you get there. Just make your bed at 4 a.m. or get out of bed and, make your bed at 4, all that stuff. That's not what this book is. This is really just a personal meditation on masculinity.
Right, and you get deep about some of the challenges you've had. You and I have talked before about being bullied as kids and how painful that was for both of us. And in the book, you write about how that experience really changed your perception about masculinity, even created some body image issues for you.
Yeah, well, so that's the thing about bullying is, again, our whole system is built on this power dynamic, and we're always trying to achieve power. And I talk about in the book how, when I was in high school on the soccer team, and I was like tied to a goalpost as part of a hazing ritual. But the thing about masculinity is, in order to then gain power, I then tied somebody else to the goalpost. That's the thing about bullying. Oftentimes, when we're bullied, we then bully in return.
Oh, did we lose?
And the really skinny kid, and seeing seeing the Arnold Schwarzeneggers and the Stallones of the world, wanting to be like them because they're the ones that got the girl, right? God is a possessive, and just never feeling like I was big and strong like all these other kids, maybe kids that hit puberty before me, and that stayed with me even as an adult man. So when I look in the mirror, even today, I just see the things that I don't like about my body, and so I've been working on, okay, well, how do I heal that? How do I start to heal that relationship that I have with not just myself as a 37-year-old man, but with myself when I was a 12-year-old kid?
Right. And for some of us, looking at images of you shirtless made us feel like we weren't enough as well. And you write about that, acknowledging the role in all of that as well. We know you are a dad. You write a lot about your dad as well. I love your dad. Your dad, Sam Baldoni, such a great guy, and I've gotten to spend some time with him over the years. And there's a picture of us all together. But you come to terms with the fact that your dad was different than a lot of the other dads where you grew up, and that was hard for you, and it took you years to get over that. Talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think those of us who are fortunate and privileged enough to have dads or relationship with dads even, we always will have healing to do, because we got to remember our dads were brought up in a very different world than we were brought up in today. So the things that we're unpacking and uncovering as it relates to suppressing our emotions and drowning out our empathy and compassion, that was even worse for our fathers. So every generation gets a little bit better. But my dad was a sensitive man, so he would always cry in movies, and he was an entrepreneur, a businessman, and I grew up in Oregon, where the other dads, they used their fists and their hands, and they taught their kids how to fight. They were truck drivers and loggers, and They worked out in the fields, and I just felt like my dad wasn't manly enough because he didn't know how to hunt or to fish. He couldn't teach me those things. But over time, I realized that my dad had given me a beautiful gift, is he had taught me how to use my heart. He taught me how to love. And what greater gift is there than that?
Yeah, and you not only dedicate the book to your dad, you also dedicate the book to your son. And this is in some ways sort of a love letter to him eventually. Your son pretty young right now, Maxwell, but
3.5.
What do you want him to take away from this book when he's older enough to really read it and dig into it?
It's a great question, man. I want my son to read this book and see his father as a imperfect, flawed human being who wakes up every day and does his best, not as a superhuman that has all the answers, but as a man who struggles just like everybody else and who isn't immune to those things. Because what that will do is, I believe it'll give my son permission to be human himself. It'll give my son permission to make mistakes, and we'll be able to have a real relationship where we can meet each other at our humanness. And he's teaching me so much as it is right now. He's teaching me and reminding me how to be human in the process. And it's just been such a beautiful journey. There's been intergenerational healing between my dad, my son, and I over the course of these last few years in writing this book.
Well, that's really a beautiful thing. I don't know if that was him we heard behind us, but he sounds great. Congrats on the book.
They're all in the house right now.
And again, the book is called Man Enough. Justin, as your friend, I'm proud of you, and I think it's really important for people to read this. It's an important discussion. Bravo.
Thank you for having me on. Much love, man.
Much love to you.
And can I just say that the both of you are more than enough.